What's up guys, Damian Keyes here, welcome back to the channel. So being a musician has its ups and its downs, and most people concentrate on the top shelf. Who have you played for? What gigs have you played? Tell us the really great stories. Most people forget about the other 15, 16, 1700 gigs that you do as a musician in order to go for the top shelf. But when it comes to the top shelf, stadiums are kind of thought of as the pinnacle. They're the dream, isn't it? Other than huge festivals, stadiums is the winner. Now, a couple of years back, I was asked to play 18 stadiums within a space of around 2 months, which was a contract for Sky Sports. So there are huge sporting events that go off all around the country, and our job was to entertain people either coming in or at halftime, usually at halftime. So what happens is you'll have your first half and then the players go off, and then you've got 15 to 20 minutes where everyone's waiting around. And so in order to keep people entertained, there's usually loads of fun stuff. Something like a band will come on and it will play for 15 minutes, and then the players will come out and then you'll go on to the second half. And that was the contract that came through from Sky Sports. Sounds great. All around the UK in some of the biggest stadiums in the UK. For example, we got to play Elland Road, which is in Leeds, which had, I think, about 30,000 people in. St James's Park in Newcastle, which had about between 45 and 50,000 people when we played it. And my hometown of Swansea, which I was very, very excited about. So I not only got to go and visit my mum and dad, but at the same time, go and play a stadium gig, which was awesome. Now, the way it worked is we would play, like I said, for 15 minutes, but it was always televised, which meant we weren't allowed to play when the television program started again. So effectively, what they would do is they would give you a certain countdown, and they would give you a 1 minute to go, and then they would give you a 10 seconds, and then they would count you down 3, 2, 1. At that point, you had to stop. And they said, we want you, as soon as you hit 3, 2, 1, you've just got to come to a stop in that song, wherever you are. It doesn't matter whether you're a verse or you're a chorus. It doesn't matter if you're a middle eight. You basically finish, and you have to time it right so that you're finishing right there, which was quite difficult. Now, the contract, like I said, 18 stadiums all around meant we had to travel up, we had to go and get ourselves there and take our own gear. I remember that it usually happened in winters because everyone was cold and shivering, so it would be entertain people in half time. Now, one of the bits I remember was especially when we played Leeds, Elland Road, it was like, it's freezing, absolutely freezing. Of course, all the players are running around, so they're quite warm. Everyone's dressed up in their really big coats. But from our point of view of standing like side stage or side pitch, we were freezing. So we'd be wearing like a shirt because obviously you can't go on and play in a jacket or a coat. It was so cold, and I was thinking my fingers aren't going to be able to play bass in this. I just can't feel my fingers. So I had a spare pair of socks, which I literally had on my hand. This is how rock and roll a gig this was. I had a spare pair of socks on my hands, and I was literally like, I remember having an elastic band, and I was just doing this in an elastic band, trying to get any warmth into my fingers whatsoever. And in that temperature as well, when you go on, your brain starts to forget things. It starts to forget the simplest of things because it's so cold and your fingers aren't working properly. So not as rock and roll as all that. But anyway, what we're here for is we're here to discuss money. How much did I get paid to play 18 stadiums in 2 months? Okay, so the final figure that I got in was roughly around about $30,000, which is about 23 to 25,000 pounds. Sounds great, doesn't it? 30 grand, playing stadiums, boom. Except there were quite a lot of outgoings because the rest of the band had to get paid. So they had to get paid a certain share of it. Plus, there was quite a lot of transport because most of the stuff that we did was up north and we were literally at the south of England. So we had to pay for transport. We also had to pay for accommodation. Sometimes if we were going up to Newcastle, it might be an 8 hours drive and then 8 hours back. Plus, we might be there for 4 or 5 hours. So instead of actually traveling all the way up and all the way back, we'd literally get somewhere to stay. Obviously, all of these take money away from that figure. Then there's tax. This was going through a company. So in the UK, we have VAT, which is a certain type of tax, plus other taxes. So they will literally take 20% straight away. So out of that $30,000, I didn't get $30,000. I probably ended up with about $300 per gig out of 30 grand, if I was lucky. Plus, that would also have to take into consideration any food that I was getting, any drink. So I would probably end up with less than that. 200, maybe $250, 150 quid out of a gig. And on top of that, not only would I not get that, but I was missing out on other money from other gigs. So in order to take on this contract, I had to say no to another bunch of gigs, which would pay me a lot more handsomely than these ones, but they wouldn't be playing stadiums. So I said yes, because it's experience, right? I want to play these stadiums. It's going to be awesome. So not only did I make probably around $5 grand-ish for these 2 months, but I probably lost another 5+ from money that I would have got from better paid gigs in order to take this on. So I pretty much lost money in order to take these gigs on, which sounds crazy, but hear me out. Here's the most important thing, and this is why I wanted to tell you this story, because it wasn't that short-term thinking. I knew we were with one agent at the time who was really looking after us, and I knew that we needed to be the #1 act on their books in order for us to charge more money, in order for us to be the most recommended act on their books. I wanted the 12 or 13 agents to be picking up the phone saying, you need these guys, you need this, you need this. Because if we had that, we would get more gigs. Plus, straight after we finished the contract, we doubled our fee. We went from $1,000 to say $2,000, I think it was. And we were doing 100 to 135 gigs a year. So we literally doubled the income by 100 grand, literally from overnight from doing that contract. Because what a way to sell it. When you're an agent on the road, oh yeah, they've just done this tour of stadiums. Really? Oh, they sound great. Plus, whilst we were there, we went to town when it came to marketing. We made sure we had loads of pictures, loads of videos, loads of stories. We made sure everybody knew what we were doing. We didn't say, hey, we're not really getting paid much for this. We just said, hey, guess what we're doing at the weekend? Hey, guess what we're doing today? So everybody knew that whilst everyone was doing certain gigs, we were doing stadium gigs. It pushed us up into a different level. And that was really important because it meant we could put our prices up. It meant we could get more gigs. It meant that everybody knew in the scene who we were as musicians and as a band, which was so crucially important. Plus then there is something else, something more important, which is experiences. When you look back at your playing career, when you're old and grey and you've retired, you don't think of it in monetary terms. You don't think, hey, I made that much money. What you actually think is all of the experiences, the people that you played with, the venues that you played, the studios that you recorded in, the producers that you recorded with, all of those crazy things that happened, the fun stories, the bad things, the disasters, the arguments that you had. These are experiences which make up the importance of a playing career. That's the bit that you're going to look back on and not the money. But I also think that when it comes to this idea of exposure is terrible, you can't do anything with exposure. Well, I would disagree. I feel like that decision of taking on that contract, which wasn't the short-term thing to do, and it was a lot of work for less money that I would have got, lost money doing it. It was a lost leader, but the fun of it, the experience and the exposure meant we probably overall were up a good few $100 grand. So this is what I want. I would like you to comment it down below. I want your best story, your best gig story. It doesn't need to be, hey, I played this biggest stadium or I did this big dick swinging thing. I just want your best story that you've had from your playing so far. If you retired today, what's the thing that you're going to sit with people and say, I remember this one time? I want to know. I want to read your stories. So get in those comments and give me your best story that you've got so far. Crazy, fun, stupid, I don't care. I want to read it. Now do me a favor, hit that like, smash that subscribe button, come and be a part of this community because I'm so proud of you guys and what we're building. And more importantly, if you want to work with me on more of a one-to-one basis, then don't forget DK Music Business Academy, there's a link down below, is a place where we can work on your music on more of a one-to-one basis. So check that out. Thanks for watching and I'll see you guys soon.